Hello, fairy finders and fairy seekers. Welcome to FaerieQuest and another episode of Ask the Faeries card readings. This time we are going to not worry so much about the upcoming week. We are just going to ask the fairies the following. Currently, it seems humanity is under fire by an evil power. What events must take place to turn the tables in humanity's favor? And I'm going to use the female card or the woman card for humanity, and I'm going to use the man card for the evil power. No specific reason, just that's how I've chosen to do it. So we are currently shuffling the cards and keeping the question in mind: what events must take place to turn the tables in humanity's favor? And then we're going to lay out all of the cards, and I will fast forward through that for you so you don't have to sit through the precision settings of each of these. There's 36 cards. And then we'll see what the fairies have to share with us on this. And I don't cut this deck. It just doesn't feel right to do that. So we are just going to go off the top here. So I'll be back in a moment. Okay, so the first thing that we want to do is see where our humanity card is and our evil power card is. So here is our humanity card, and it is in the house of the dog. Okay, and here is our evil power card, and it is in the house of the heart. So what we're seeing here is that the passion for the evil runs very deep in this group. Which is pretty much a total opposite here to some degree, where loyalty and friendship are what stands tallest or biggest for humanity. Our loyalty and devotion is absolute, or at least that's what it's supposed to be. What connects these two cards, the humanity card and the evil powers card, coming from this direction, it would be this card here right in front, and coming from this direction, it would be this card right here in front of humanity. So if we go this way, we have the Sun card in the house of the mice. And what that shows is an absolute erosion of energy. And that is the evil powers people group are looking at this card. Their main goal is an absolute erosion of our energy, our power, humanity's power. On this end of the spectrum, and what we are looking away from, but they are still looking at, is, well, we'll just say a restriction of love and emotions. The authority, the powers that be, the evil power people are putting a restriction on our hearts. That is this card here. Okay, so that is how things are connected at the moment. And right now, it looks as though the events that are occurring are in the favor of those in evil power. Okay? But let's look further. Let's see what the diabolical plan actually is. If there is one, but there is. So, okay, we have the evil ones here. The cards directly surrounding them are considered their zone. They don't have any cards over here, which is a good thing, because to me that means, you know, they're at the end of everything. To me that means that what is happening is going to end and they won't exist anymore. In the meantime, however, since they do, and they're almost off the chart here, almost off the tableau, we have pretty much this line and this line. These main cards here are quite important, but it all goes hand in hand here, so with their diabolical plan. So what we have here is the key in the house of the snake. So that says that what they believe is going to give them the most success or gain them control is betrayal and poison. So betrayal and poison, that's what a snake offers, is going to be the key to their success. It's what's going to help them gain control. Does that sound familiar? And then underneath of that, flowing in the line, is the stars in the house of the bear. The bear is huge, a big creature. So what they're going to try to convince us of is that they are large and in charge, and that's what's being made clear here. That's the direction things are going to go. So they're saying that's their plan. So we've got betrayal and poison, letting us know they're large and in charge and we have no choice. Next is, as we've seen already, the sun in the house of the mice, and that is just, they're going to erode away at our energy, which just means they're going to wear us down. That's their plan. Okay? And then we have the tower in the house of the sun. And that is that energy is going to be separated, okay? Which means when you have a tower, you can have levels. So let's say we have a bottom, a middle, and a top level. It is separating all these levels, separating all these energy levels, which is actually all of humanity, separating our energy, making sure there's a separation between bottom and top. So we've got perhaps high vibrational people at the top, and we have those who haven't quite figured out vibration at the bottom, and there's a huge separation that they're creating there. And up here we have the dog in the house of the coffin. So obviously the dog, since we are in the house of the dog over here, this is not only an end to loyalties and friendships, okay, because of the separation. This is also, if you look at it, a very painful end to humanity. That's what they want. Then comes the fox in the house of the stars. The focus that they're trying to put on humanity is completely manipulated, deceitful, sly. Everything, every direction they are pointing us in is deceitful and manipulated. And as we've seen, these evil ones are very passionate about their plan. What works the best for them at this point is the owls or birds in the house of the moon. So what's happening here is that they're putting attention on so many things that our minds are cluttered. Humanity's mind can't keep up. They do not know which way to go, how to go, where to move, what to do, what to say, what to think. So there you have much of the diabolical plan of the evil ones. Now over here as well, we have the snake in the evil one's house. Remember, we have their success card is in the house of the snake. So this is telling us also that the plan is to bring fear, to destroy humanity through fear and poison. So betrayal, fear, poison. And if you think about it, look what happened with Eve and the snake in the Garden of Eden. Interesting thoughts. But if you think about this also, think about the snake bite, how that goes into the body and the toxin that is spread. Does that sound familiar to what's going on right now? Next to the man, we have the woman, which is humanity. And humanity, the card that goes with it here is the garden. And that is pretty much humanity joining together. There will be more on that in a little bit. So what is happening? We've got the diabolical plan here laid out quite nicely, and we could probably add some of these cards to it as well, but I think that covers it pretty nicely. So if we look over here, what is actually happening? Well, up here we've got the bouquet, and again, we're looking at the cards directly around humanity, okay? Just like we did over here, only we have a full set. There's cards on both sides. Over here, that isn't the case. The good thing about this is humanity is just beginning their journey. The evil powers are ending theirs, but they're going out with a bang. So here we have the ship in the house of the bouquet. This is where things were going along really, really well, moving along just fine. Our journeys seemed to be quite happy ones for the most part. I mean, everything seemed what is now being called normal. Okay, we'd like to get back to normal. whatever that was, but that's what this card is depicting. How things were before the diabolical plan began, okay? Well, again, with humanity, at that point in time, the devotion and the loyalty and the friendships and all that, it was the way it should be. Social medias and everybody was coming together in such an awesome way. And then we have the stork in the house of the letter. The news suddenly turned the tide of all of this. Suddenly, we have the tree in the house of the whip. Suddenly, there is a struggle over our health and well-being that we didn't even know existed at first. Suddenly is why I say that. There was a struggle. And again, we had, devotion and loyalty to what we're being told. This is, we're used to listening to authority. And so when we're told that there's a problem, you've got some of humanity going, oh, geez, we have to do exactly what we're told. And then there's another side of the dog that is fixed and resistant, okay? So you've got those who are fixed on being committed. Here we have the ring in the house of the ring, okay? So that makes it extra double duty here. So those who are fixed are very committed to what they're being told to do and really paying attention to this threat here. And then you've got those who are resistant to it, who don't have a lot of trust in this authority, okay? So we start out with a happy journey. This was our lives. They might not have all been perfect, obviously, but better than they have been, okay, currently. And then we have the letter in the house of the scythe. And that was a dangerous separation. Bit of info, bit of news about our health. A sudden struggle to our health. So it went from awesome to, oh, this is dangerous, and, separation is something that you'll probably need to do because, you're going to make one another sick. Okay? So over here we have the whip in the house of the stork. And the situation just continues to evolve. Okay? Just seems like there's more struggle. As time goes on, there's more struggle. And, it seems like there's one step forward, one step back. 2 steps forward, 2 steps back. And again, we still have those who are very fixed on doing exactly what they're told and those who are very resistant to it. And we already know that this card here is the authorities telling us, because of this struggle to our health, we have to stay away from loved ones. So here again, we have the ring in the house of the ring. This is a card both for commitment and also for continuous cycles. This is not the first time this kind of thing, all of this, has happened. It may have happened in a little bit of a different way, but it's still the circle, the continuous issue that has happened to humanity due to the evil powers. Here we have the house in the house of the book. And notice we're missing some facts. about why we were told to enclose ourselves in our homes. There's a lot of secrets about that. And that card there is quite interesting because we've got the house in the house of the book, and up here we have the book in the house of the house. And what that's sharing is that security is unknown. The house is supposed to be our stable place, our security, where we feel the safest, but there's so many secrets that it's difficult to feel that way. So those are interesting cards together. And of course, in our comfort zone here, these cards that we have been working on around humanity. The last one in this set is the stork in the house of the letter. And this is the being told that if we do all of these things, things are going to return to normal. That is the news that keeps getting thrown at us. If you want to return to normal, just do all this. But notice what card is next to that. And that's the deceit, the snake, and the evil powers. The snake being deceitful, the snake betraying, the snake bite poison. So that's the line that you're being given. That snake bite poison is going to turn everything back to normal. So then we go to this card here. This is the rider in the house of the rider. Like the ring, this makes it important, okay? This was kind of the clue that everything that is coming, it's almost like the world was holding its breath, that something was coming. We just didn't know what it was. And I'm sure there was probably plenty of warning along the way because the universe tends to give warnings in that way. And then we had the anchor in the house of the clover. And this is the opportunity to gain a foothold and be prepared for what was going to happen. Then we have the clover in the house of the ship. So the journey, the change is meant to be short-lived, okay? And remember that the universe has no time per se. Spirit has no time. It is a blink of an eye to them, where it could be 40 years for us. It won't be, but 40 years for us. That's a big deal, okay? So then if we look at the corner cards here, okay, we've got that incoming information that changed things so quickly. And the commitment of many to do exactly what they're told because there's so much fear, okay? Then we've got the end of friendships and loyalties because of this. But those friendships and loyalties are ending mostly on the side of those people who are resistant. They're cutting ties. They have to. If they're going to raise their vibration to help send these guys off the map, they have to cut those ties. That's an event that needs to take place because they are recognizing all of the mental clutter for what it is. Things are being illuminated. And that's what needs to be shared to be able to save as many people as possible. So that is another event. All of these things are events that have had to take place if we're going to send these evil ones off the map. So if we look at the lines, okay, we've already looked at the line here that our evil power people are in. Now it's time to look at the lines here. We'll start up here and come down, and then we'll go across where they connect. So again, we have the anchor in the house of the clover, and that is the opportunity to gain a foothold of some sort. But it's also a foothold that just doesn't last long enough. We'll put it that way. Okay? And we've got the letter in the house of the scythe. And this was cutting off our news, taking away our, as they call it, freedom of speech. Only allowing those things in that bring forth more fear and take away the truth. So here is humanity in the center. Those who are buying it hook, line, and sinker because they're loyal and devoted are okay not understanding everything and locking themselves away because that's how they feel safe. Those who are resistant are taking this opportunity of being locked away to gain some education here, to really go back and see what kind of sneaky stuff has been going on. They're digging, they're researching, because they know that there's something that isn't okay and that all this chatter is baloney, and that, you know, we're only being allowed to see what these people want us to see, not what has been discovered, although some of that does sneak through. So now we're going to go across this way, and we're seeing the whip in the house of the stork. And again, this is a repeating pattern. It's the one step forward, one step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, so on and so forth. So in the information that is being given, it's hope, no hope, hope, no hope. And again, we have the loyal ones and we have the resistant ones. And we still have the authorities saying you need to stay away from your loved ones. You cannot come close to them. But then we have the garden, the house of the garden, and the card in it is the crossroads. Okay, crossroads is a decision. We need to decide if we're going to be humanity or we're not. So in other words, join together. What are we going to do? Stay in separation? Or are we going to come together? That is a decision that has to be made. Then we have the lily in the house of the mountain. And the lily is all about blocking family, separating family. So we have, you're not allowed to be with family. You've got people who are really having a hard time wrapping their brains around that, but you know what? They're being convinced through the lies, the deceit. They're being convinced, and notice where the snake is in reference to this decision. They are being convinced that they're protecting their family, and it is the right thing to do, to stay away. So then we have the cross in the house of the crossroad. And that is saying, you know, you need to make a decision. Are you going to actually sacrifice all of that, all of this? Are you going to sacrifice your family? And look at the card that's underneath, the child. Okay? Are you going to sacrifice your family for something that truly has not been proven here? And all the while, your energy is being eroded, okay? Your energy is being taken away. The air is removed from your lungs. The love in your heart is being separated, pulled apart. All of humanity's strong points are being destroyed. Now, there is some good to this reading, okay? So if we remember, it's what events must take place to turn the tables in humanity's favor, okay? We've seen the diabolical plan. We've seen what's been going on. We've seen that there are those people who are resistant to the powers here and who recognize what they actually are. And, you know, it's hard to mistake this setup of the plan here. The cards come out supposedly randomly, okay? This is pretty amazing. Now, we have two lines here, like I said, that we could read, but they're really not necessary in the scheme of things. We've got a pretty full picture here as to what is going on. So we're going to move now to the fate line. And this is another kind of event, or perhaps group of events, that need to take place to send these guys right off the board. The first card here is the moon in a house of the key. And as we know from being up here, you know, the success, the key is success. So in this case, the solution or the key to success starts with how we are being seen and how we see each other. So if the evil powers over here are seeing us as weak and vulnerable, well, that just gives them more fuel, more energy. Okay, if they're seeing our fear, fear. And also if they're seeing how we're fighting with one another, the separation. Well, we need to recognize those things to have this come out successfully. We need to recognize that all of this has been a horrible diabolical plan, and no need to feel foolish because they're good. They've pulled out all the stops, okay? And if you look at the news and you pay attention to certain things, you may discover that one of the things is about the food. Okay? We need food to live, right? But all of a sudden, every day, you see information about salmonella and listeria and all these things that are causing the food to be recalled. Until eventually, it's going to come down to a shortage. More fear. The trees are burning on every continent, destroying our oxygen. More fear. Stay away from your loved ones. It's the people who were snake bitten are being told that those who haven't are bad for them. Don't love those people. Fear. The people who have not been snake bitten understand that being close to one another, being in the garden, being social, joining together in humanity is what is going to change that health situation to a good one. So anyway, Okay, so these are the things we have to recognize if we're going to be successful in throwing those guys off the map and going back to some kind of, and it's not going to be normal by any stretch of the imagination, a lot of changes need to take place. So second card in the fate line is the bear in the fish house. This is where it's showing coming together, all of us coming together in independence and strength against the evil ones and the snake. Remember, the bear is powerful. That's what they've done to convince. They're large and in charge. Well, you know what? There's more of us. And it's time for us to be large and in charge, right? We should be independent. We should all have the right to choose, not just the loyal and devoted few. All of us, together. And then we have the fish card in the house of the anchor. And this is all about making that decision to be together and drop our anchor in that spot for independence, where nothing can ever drag that independence from us again. And as you see, this is under humanity's card of joining together, the garden. That is very important here. And last, in the line of fate, we have the bouquet in the house of the cross. And what this is saying is, you know, there's been and probably still will be for a little while a lot of trials and tribulations that have taken place in a very short period of time. Okay? Short journey. But if we reach this point, realize that the separation is not a good thing for humanity, never will be, and that independence is where our stronghold is, and we really lay anchor there, then the universe is going to honor us, and we will be rewarded with absolute success, happiness, independence, everything that our hearts could possibly desire that isn't all of this. And the nice thing about this is this is a family card. This lily, or this child in the house of the lily, this lily is about family. And this is all about also protecting our children from the evil powers. And the lily is also the card, the lily, which is right here, is a blessing. It bestows a blessing upon the card beneath it. And that blessing goes on to humanity joining together. That is the blessing. Which is a great card to end on. I think this tells quite the story, and the fairies have done a phenomenal job in laying out the events that are taking place, that need to take place, and these are also events that need to take place. Everyone needs to join together in thought, in research, and become committed to the truth, eliminating the snake bite and the evil powered ones who have created all of this problem. So that's it for this reading. As always, take what works for you and just disregard the rest. So until next week, take care.